The wind moved differently on Kepra 9. It didn't just pass through the fields, it pressed against them, low and constant, like something breathing beneath the soil. Elias Rourke had learned to read it years ago. When it shifted pitch, storms followed. When it fell silent, predators moved. This morning, it whispered. Elias stood at the edge of his field, hands buried in the dark, mineral-rich earth. The soil shimmered faintly under the rising light, veins of blue glinting beneath the surface. Valuable. Dangerous. Worth killing for. Behind him, boots crunched softly. "You're up early," Jonah said. Elias didn't turn. "You're late. I checked the western fence. Something bent the posts again. Storm last night." Jonah stepped beside him, shaking his head. "Storms don't leave claw marks." That made Elias pause. He glanced toward the distant tree line, dense, towering, faintly glowing in patches where alien growth pulsed with bioluminescence. The forest never truly slept. "We'll fix it after harvest," Elias said. Jonah folded his arms. "If the Dominion doesn't take everything first." Elias finally looked at him. 16. Too sharp. Too aware. "Keep your voice down. No one's here." "That's never true." Jonah exhaled, frustrated but quieting. He crouched and started pulling mineral clusters from the soil, dropping them into a reinforced crate. The rhythm was familiar: dig, extract, stack. Survival reduced to repetition. For a while either spoke. Then Jonah broke the silence. "How long are we going to keep doing this?" Elias didn't answer immediately. He kept working, slower now. "Doing what?" "Pretending this is living." Elias set down his tool. "It is living." "No, it's waiting. Waiting for them to show up. Waiting for them to take more." Jonah's voice sharpened. "Waiting for them to decide we're not worth keeping around." Elias stood. "That's enough." "It's true. It's dangerous." Jonah stepped closer. "So we just stay quiet forever?" Elias met his eyes. "We stay alive." The words hung there, heavy and final. Jonah looked away first. "Yeah," he muttered. "Alive." A distant hum cut through the air. Both of them froze. Elias turned slowly toward the sky. The sound deepened, mechanical and precise. Not wind. Not storm. Dropships. "Inside," Elias said, already moving. Jonah didn't argue this time. They grabbed what they could carry and headed for the house, a reinforced structure of metal and composite plating, built more for defense than comfort. The hum grew louder. Shadows stretched across the ground as 3 Dominion craft descended in formation. Their hulls gleamed like polished bone, edges sharp, movement unnaturally smooth. Elias's jaw tightened. "Too early," he murmured. "They weren't due for another week," Jonah said. "They don't follow schedules. They follow need." The ships landed just beyond the settlement perimeter. Doors opened in perfect synchronization. Soldiers poured out. Tall, armored, faceless behind reflective visors. Their movements were efficient, almost mechanical. No wasted motion. No hesitation. The settlement reacted instantly. Doors shut, lights dimmed, voices silenced. Elias stepped outside, crate in hand. Jonah followed. "Stay behind me," Elias said. "I'm not a kid." "Today you are." They approached the central clearing where other settlers were already gathering, each carrying their share of harvested minerals. No one spoke. Eyes stayed low. A Dominion officer stepped forward. His armor bore subtle markings: rank, authority. "Quota collection," he announced. His voice came through a translator, flat and precise. "All materials will be assessed." Elias placed his crate with the others. Jonah stood beside him, tense. The officer moved down the line, scanning each container. When he reached Elias's, he paused. "Insufficient." Elias kept his tone steady. "We met last cycle's requirement. Requirements have changed." "They always do," someone muttered from the crowd. The officer ignored it. "You will provide additional units." Elias shook his head. We've already extracted everything viable. The soil needs time. The officer turned his head slightly. A gesture. 2 soldiers stepped forward. Jonah's fists clenched. That's all we have. Elias shot him a warning look. Jonah! They can't just take. The officer raised a hand. One of the soldiers struck Jonah across the chest with the butt of a rifle. He hit the ground hard, air knocked from his lungs. Stop! Elias stepped forward, but another soldier blocked him. Jonah pushed himself up, coughing. His eyes burned with anger. This is ours, he said hoarsely. You don't get to just. The shot echoed. Short. Sharp. Final. Jonah dropped. For a moment, nothing moved. Elias didn't understand what he was seeing. His mind refused to process it. Jonah was on the ground, still, too still. No, Elias whispered. He tried to move, but the soldier holding him tightened their grip. Release him, the officer said calmly. The soldier let go. Elias stumbled forward, dropping to his knees beside Jonah. His hands hovered, unsure where to touch, as if the wrong movement might make it real. Jonah, he said, voice breaking. Jonah, get up. There was no response. The officer looked down at them. Noncompliance results in termination. Elias looked up, something raw and broken in his eyes. He was a boy. He was a variable. The officer turned away. Continued collection. The soldiers resumed their work as if nothing had happened. Elias stayed where he was. Time blurred. The sounds around him faded into a distant hum. He didn't remember lifting Jonah. Didn't remember walking back. Only the weight, heavy, impossible, final. The settlement watched but did nothing. No one spoke. By the time the ships left, the sky had returned to its dull, empty gray. Elias stood at the edge of his land, shovel in hand. The ground was harder than it should have been. Each strike sent vibrations up his arms. He kept digging. There were no words left. When the hole was deep enough, he lowered Jonah into it carefully, adjusting him as if he might still feel discomfort. You said we were just waiting, Elias murmured. I should have listened. The wind picked up slightly, brushing against the field. Elias filled the grave slowly, methodically. Each movement deliberate. Each breath controlled. When it was done, he placed a flat stone at the head. He sat beside it as the light faded. Night came without ceremony. In the distance, faint lights moved along the horizon, Dominion patrols sweeping the land they didn't understand and didn't care to. Elias didn't look at them. He stared at the stone. The wind whispered again, low and steady. This time, he didn't try to read it. Time did not pass on Kepra 9. It settled. Days blurred into one another, marked only by the movement of Dominion patrols and the slow decay of things left unattended. Elias Rourke moved through them without purpose, rising when light came, working just enough to avoid starvation, sleeping when exhaustion forced him down. The field had begun to fail. Untended sections hardened, mineral veins locking beneath the surface. Fences sagged. The western post Jonah had mentioned still leaned inward, clawed and splintered. Elias noticed everything. He fixed nothing. The settlement had changed as well. Voices stayed low. Doors remained closed even during daylight. When Dominion soldiers passed through, no one watched anymore. Fear had become routine. Near midday, Elias stood by the well, filling a container. The air felt heavier than usual, thick with heat and something else, attention. You're wasting water letting it spill like that. The voice came from behind him. Elias didn't turn immediately. He adjusted the container, shut off the flow, then looked over his shoulder. The man standing there didn't belong. Clean lines. Controlled posture. Clothing that wasn't patched or worn down by years of survival. His eyes moved constantly, taking in details without appearing to. Didn't hear you come in, Elias said. Most people don't, the man replied. Elias studied him. You lost? No. Then you're in the wrong place. The man stepped closer, stopping just outside arm's reach. Name's Marcus Hale. Elias said nothing. I'm looking for someone who knows this land. Hale continued. Someone who's still paying attention. You won't find many. I only need one. Elias picked up his container. Try the next settlement. They're gone. That stopped him. Elias turned fully now. Gone how? Burned out. Cleared. Whatever word you prefer. A flicker of something passed through Elias's expression, gone as quickly as it came. Happens. Not like this, Hale said. Patterns changed. Elias started to walk past him. Not my concern. It will be. Elias stopped again, slower this time. You planning to explain that, or just keep talking in circles? Hale met his gaze. The Dominion isn't tightening control. They're preparing to erase it. Silence stretched between them. Elias gave a short, humorless breath. They've been erasing us piece by piece for years. This is different, Hale said. They're done managing the colony. Next phase is sterilization. Elias's grip tightened on the container. You don't know that. I've seen the orders. You're not Dominion. No. Then you're guessing. Hale shook his head. I don't guess. Elias held his stare for a long moment, searching for something, deception, uncertainty, anything he could dismiss. He found neither. Even if you're right, Elias said finally, what do you expect me to do about it? Help me stop it. A pause. Then Elias laughed, quiet and sharp. You picked the wrong man. I don't think I did. You did, Elias said, stepping closer. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a leader. I'm a farmer who keeps his head down. That's why I'm still here. Hale's expression didn't change. That's not why you're still here. Elias's jaw tightened. You don't know anything about me. I know you didn't fight back when they killed your son. The words landed clean and hard. Elias moved before he thought. The container dropped as he grabbed Hale's shirt, shoving him back against the well structure. Say that again, Elias said, voice low. Hale didn't resist. You heard me. Elias's hand trembled, not with weakness but restraint. For a second, it looked like he might strike. Then he let go. Hale straightened his jacket. You survived, he said. That wasn't weakness. It was calculation. It was failure. No, Hale said. It was the only move that kept you alive. Elias stepped back, breathing uneven. Get out. I will, Hale said. But I'm not done. Elias didn't respond. I'll be in the forest, Hale added. If you change your mind, I won't. Hale gave a slight nod, as if acknowledging a temporary answer, then turned and walked toward the tree line. Elias watched him go until the man disappeared into the dense growth. For a long time, he stood there. Then he picked up the container and returned home. The sun dipped low before Elias moved again. He sat inside, staring at nothing, Hale's words circling without settling. Sterilization. Orders. Erase. It didn't matter, he told himself. Nothing mattered. But the thought wouldn't leave. Finally, he stood. The rifle by the door felt unfamiliar in his hands, heavier than he remembered. He checked it out of habit, slung it over his shoulder, and stepped outside. The forest loomed ahead, darker now, faint glows pulsing between its towering structures. Elias hadn't crossed into it since Jonah was a child. He moved anyway. The boundary wasn't marked by anything visible, but he felt it the moment he passed through. The air changed, cooler, denser. Sounds shifted, layered and unfamiliar. Every step forward tightened something in his chest. Branches arched overhead, filtering the fading light into fractured patterns. The ground was uneven, roots twisting beneath the surface. Then he heard it. A low crack, somewhere off to his right. Elias froze. Another sound followed, heavier this time, deliberate. He raised the rifle slowly, turning toward the noise. Careful, a voice said quietly. Hale stepped out from behind a cluster of towering growths, hands relaxed at his sides. "You followed me," he said. Elias didn't lower the rifle. "You wanted me to." Hale gave a faint nod. "Fair." A shadow moved behind him. Elias's focus snapped past Hale, finger tightening on the trigger. "Don't," Hale said. The shadow stepped forward. It was massive. At least 9 feet tall, covered in dark, coarse fur that shifted with subtle movement. Its shoulders were broad, arms long and powerful, hands ending in thick, curved claws. Its face, partially obscured, held eyes that caught the faint light, reflecting it with unsettling clarity. Elias's breath caught. Another shape appeared to the left. Slightly smaller, leaner, moving with fluid precision. They didn't charge. They watched. "What the hell are they?" Elias asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Not what?" Hale said. "Who?" The larger one tilted its head slightly, studying Elias. "They understand us?" Elias asked. "Enough." Elias swallowed, lowering the rifle a fraction but not fully. "This isn't real." "It is," Hale said. "They've been here longer than we have." "Why aren't they killing us?" "Because we're not their enemy." A distant hum cut through the forest. Hale's head turned instantly. "Incoming patrol." The creatures reacted before Elias could process the words. They moved into the shadows, vanishing with impossible speed for their size. "Stay close," Hale said, already moving. Elias followed, instincts overriding doubt. They reached a low ridge overlooking a narrow clearing. Below, a Dominion unit advanced in formation, scanning the area. Hale crouched, motioning Elias down. "Watch." The patrol moved cautiously, weapons raised. Then the forest shifted. The smaller creature struck first, dropping from above with silent precision, taking one soldier down before the others reacted. The larger one hit from the flank, force overwhelming, movements brutal and efficient. The engagement lasted seconds. When it ended, the patrol lay still. Elias stared, pulse hammering. "They planned that." Hale nodded. "They learned fast." The creatures reemerged, dragging bodies into the undergrowth, erasing signs of the encounter. Elias lowered his rifle completely. "This is what fighting back looks like," Hale said. Elias didn't answer. He watched the place where the patrol had stood, now empty as if nothing had happened. For the first time since Jonah's death, something shifted inside him. Not relief. Not peace. Something sharper. He turned toward Hale. "If what you said is true about sterilization..." "It is." Elias looked back at the forest, where the creatures had vanished. Then beyond it, toward the unseen structures of the Dominion. Silence stretched. Finally, he spoke. "What's your plan?" Hale studied him for a moment, then nodded once. "Now you're asking the right question." Elias didn't sleep. The forest had a rhythm unlike anything in the settlement, alive, layered, restless. Even in stillness it moved. Sounds rose and fell in unfamiliar patterns, like a language he couldn't yet understand. He sat near a low burning fire, rifle across his knees, eyes fixed on the darkness beyond the light. Marcus Hale stood a few paces away, checking equipment with quiet efficiency. No wasted motion. No hesitation. "You're not going back," Hale said without looking up. It wasn't a question. Elias leaned forward, resting his forearms on his legs. "There's nothing to go back to." Hale nodded once. "Good. That simplifies things." Elias glanced toward the treeling. They'll stay?" As if called, a shape shifted between the trunks. Then another. Cor stepped into the faint glow first, massive, deliberate, every movement controlled. Mara followed, lighter on her feet, eyes alert and scanning. "They don't follow orders," Hale said. "They choose." Cor's gaze settled on Elias. It wasn't hostile. It wasn't friendly either. It measured. Elias met it, forcing himself not to look away. "Then why are they here?" he asked. "Same reason we are," Hale replied. "They're being hunted." Mira circled the fire once, silent despite her size, then stopped opposite Elias. Her head tilted slightly, studying him from a different angle. Elias exhaled slowly. Guess that makes us allies. Temporary ones, Hale said. Trust comes later. If it comes. Elias nodded. There. Dawn filtered through the canopy in fractured beams. Hale wasted no time. Up, he said. We start now. Elias stood, muscles stiff but responsive. Start what? Making you useful. Elias gave a faint, humorless smirk. I used to be. Used to doesn't count. They moved to a small clearing where Hale had laid out gear, basic weapons, tools, salvaged Dominion components. You said you were a combat engineer, Hale said. Long time ago. Doesn't matter. Skills don't vanish. They rust. Hale tossed him a compact charge unit. Fix it. Elias caught it, turning it over in his hands. The casing was cracked, wiring exposed. Dominion tech, sleek, efficient, unfamiliar in design but not in principle. He crouched, examining it. Core and Mira watched from the edge of the clearing. Elias worked in silence, fingers moving slowly at first, then with increasing certainty. The logic came back piece by piece: structure, function, intent. After several minutes, he snapped the casing shut and set the unit down. It'll hold, he said. Hale checked it, then nodded. Good. Elias straightened. That's it. No, Hale said. Now we see if you can use it under pressure. They moved deeper into the forest, terrain growing more uneven. Hale stopped near a narrow path cut through the undergrowth. Supply route, he said. Light patrol, regular intervals. Elias scanned the area. You've been watching them. 4 days. And today we hit them? Hale looked at him. You tell me. You ready? Elias hesitated. Jonah's face surfaced, sharp, immediate. The sound of the shot. The stillness after. His grip tightened on the charge unit. No, he said. Hale didn't react. Good answer. Elias blinked. What? If you said yes, I doubt you. Hale gestured to the path. We do it anyway. Elias let out a breath. Of course we do. Hale crouched, outlining the plan with quick, precise motions. They come through here. 2 forward, 2 rear. Standard spacing. You plant the charge there. He pointed to a cluster of roots near the path's bend. We trigger on the rear pair. Core and Mira handle close contact. Elias nodded, committing it to memory. And me? You don't freeze. Elias met his eyes. I won't. Hale held his gaze a moment longer, then gave a short nod. We'll see. The weight stretched. Elias lay prone behind a fallen trunk, the charge set and ready. The forest pressed in around him, every sound amplified. Then he heard it. Measured footsteps. Mechanical. Precise. The patrol emerged exactly as Hale described, 4 soldiers, weapons raised, scanning. Elias's pulse quickened. They moved closer. 10 meters. 5. The first pair passed the charge. Elias's finger hovered over the trigger. The rear pair stepped into position. Now. He didn't move. For a split second, everything stopped. Then Hale's voice cut through, low and sharp. Now. Elias pressed the trigger. The charge detonated with a controlled burst, sending the rear soldiers off their feet. Before the front pair could react, core dropped from above, impact crushing one instantly. Mira moved through the other, fast and precise, her strike ending it before it could fire. Silence returned just as quickly. Elias pushed himself up, breathing hard. It worked, he said, almost surprised. Hale moved past him, checking the bodies. It did. Elias looked down at his hands. They were steady. No shaking. No hesitation. Just action. Mira approached, stopping a few feet away. Her gaze lingered on him, something like recognition flickering there. Core let out a low sound, not a growl, Not quite approval, but close. Elias met their eyes. Guess I didn't freeze. Hale glanced back. Not this time. They didn't celebrate. They moved. Bodies were cleared, equipment stripped, signs erased. Efficiency replaced emotion. By the time they finished, the path looked untouched. As they retreated deeper into the forest, Elias felt it again, that shift inside him. Not the sharp edge from before, but something steadier. Purpose. Where to next? He asked. Hale didn't slow. We build. Build what? Something bigger than a hit and run. Elias frowned. With who? There's barely anyone left. Not true, Hale said. They're scattered. Hiding. Waiting. Elias thought of the empty houses, the silence in the settlement. Waiting for what? Hale glanced at him. For a reason. They reached a ridge overlooking a narrow valley. Smoke rose faintly from below, thin, controlled. Elias narrowed his eyes. That's not Dominion. No, Hale said. It's what's left of your people. The encampment was small but organized. Makeshift shelters, guarded perimeters, signs of careful planning. As they approached, figures emerged, wary, armed, thin from hardship but alert. One of them stepped forward, a woman with a rifle held steady. Hale. Still alive? He said. She nodded, then noticed Elias. Who's this? Elias Rourke. Recognition flickered across her face. The farmer. Elias stiffened. Used to be. She studied him a moment longer, then lowered her weapon slightly. We heard what happened. Elias didn't respond. You're here now, she said. That means something. Elias looked past her, at the people behind, families, fighters, survivors. Fragments. Hale stepped beside him. This is where it starts. Elias took it in, the scale, the risk, the possibility. Jonah's grave flashed in his mind. Not as an anchor. As a reason. He nodded once. Then let's not waste time. Hale's expression shifted, just slightly. Approval. Behind them, Kor and Mira watched from the edge of the trees, silent as ever. Elias glanced back at them, then forward again. For the first time, the path ahead felt clear. Not easy. Not safe. But real. And he stepped onto it without hesitation.